Hello everyone, welcome to Stan the Wine Man TV. I am your host, Stan Rattan, and this is a Blue Collar Wine Show where I help you spend your wine dollars wisely. The last episode I did a couple of, really inexpensive Bordeaux. It showed really nice because we talked about the 22 vintage being such a classic vintage in Bordeaux. I think they're comparing it to 1982 and 2005. Some are, those were impressive vintages. So to see that really gets me excited, because what I find is that you don't have to spend $50 to $100 to get a really good wine from Bordeaux when they come from a classic vintage. We talked a little bit about that vintage being, they had a really bad, a serious drought in July and August, but they had a wet fall and winter prior to that, so the vines were healthy, and because it was a long stretch of heat every day, the vines got used to it. And so they didn't, when there's heat spikes and then it goes down lower and the heat spikes, that's when the vines start shutting down. But these got used to it. And also the winemaking practices of the Bordeaux or the Bordeaux winemakers, they've changed a lot of their methods. And one of the methods that they've really adopted is whole cluster fermentation. And what this does is it gives the wine freshness. Instead of, sometimes you get overripe wines when the weather is that hot. And then as they went into September, they get some more rain and the temperatures lowered a little bit. So it was really perfect conditions for creating a classic Bordeaux vintage. So now we're going to look at two that are a little bit more. The other two were like $11 and $12. Now we're getting into one that I have at the store for $14, but I looked online and the average price is around $20. Got this on a flash sale. This is the Chateau Vieux Landot Haut-Medoc. So the other two just said Bordeaux. This actually mentions Medoc, Haut-Medoc, 2022 Cru Bourgeois. This rolls in at, well, let's just say normally $20. I have it for $14. There you go. Well, let's see how this one's showing. The other two were really good, especially for the price point. In fact, kind of stupid price for how good they were, and a good introductory Bordeaux. I have one distributor that does flash sales. They give you a little bit of a rundown about what this wine is all about, and then you have to buy it right then. So I bought some of this from that distributor, and let's see what we get here. Color on the Bob and Kathy board, darker, pretty. I would say dark burgundy color. Yes. Let's see what we get on those. This is exciting. This has some nice, I get a little bit of cinnamon, cherry. Wow. Classic kind of earth, baked earth. A little bit of currant notes coming through on this one. But I like that kind of, that spice, that baking spice, kind of cinnamon. Yeah, notes coming through with a little graphite in there as well. Let's see what we get on the palate. This one, again, classic Bordeaux, but I think a lot of people will like this. It is fresh. It has nice currant notes, a little bit of that baking spice coming through on the palate. It's, let's see, what's the alcohol in this? Because we talked a little bit about the alcohol being a little higher on some of these wines. It's 13.5, so it's not too bad. The graphite notes come through. Graphite is a very common flavor profile in Bordeaux. A lot of times people will say pencil lead. Get the idea. It's there. It's not prominent on this one, but this is a nice balance. The tannins are structured, but they're smooth. So you get those cherry and currant notes, but underneath there's this nice freshness, nice balance. This one has the guts to age at least 10 years. I'll put my reputation on the line. Just to be safe, let's say go 7 and see how it's working. I think a lot of us can be patient and go 7 years. $14, if you can get your hands on it for $14, I think you can get it for $20. But just buy a couple, tuck them away, forget about them if you can. This is classic Bordeaux. Has all the elements of a Bordeaux that I look for. It has a fruit, it has minerality, it has graphite, there's a little bit of leather there as well. The tannins show a little bit of attitude on the finish, so the tannins are a little more structured on this wine than in the last episode where I reviewed the inexpensive ones. Tastes like it might have a little bit of Cab Franc in it. It does not give the breakdown on this, which is not uncommon with Bordeaux. But as we said in the past no, this does have some tannic grip on the finish. This would be a great food wine. Drinkable now. Absolutely drinkable now, but it is age-worthy. I'm going to go B+ on that. I think it's a very solid Bordeaux for the money. Now, this is the 2022 Chateau Coder Saint-Emilion Grand Cru. Now we're stepping up to the game here. It says Famille Carles. Hope I'm saying that right. Famille Carles, Chateau Coder Saint-Emilion Grand Cru. And this gives a breakdown on the back, which is really cool. 90% Merlot, 10% Cab Franc, right bank. This rolls in at $34. This is $15.5 alcohol. So this is the first one I've ran across that shows that some of the articles I read, how they're showing a little bit of a more alcohol, but they're saying that even though they have more alcohol, they're still showing balance. So I have not tried this one. I'm super excited to try it. You guys are going to experience it with me. Definitely darker. This is kind of purple, really kind of a purple red color to it. A lot of purple, bright red purple colors on this one. Nice freshness on the rim. Let's see what we get on the nose. Definitely some plum, boysenberry notes on this one. A little bit of earthiness coming through. I get a little bit of that graphite or pencil lead, as we like to say. Some bark notes coming through as well. But this doesn't smell hot to me, which is really interesting. A lot of times when you get a 15.5 Spanish wine or you get a 15.5 Napa Valley wine, you tend to get a little bit of a burn on the nose. This one doesn't have that. Getting some interesting leather notes as well. Let's see what we get on the palate. Splash action there. The depth on this is definitely shows on this one. I get some chocolate notes on this, which is really interesting. We could, the alcohol level, sometimes you can draw that chocolate tones out of it. The tannins are a little more structured, but they're still very approachable. A little bit of a grip on the finish from the tannins, which would disappear with food, just saying. Some spice notes coming through on the end. I get a lot of plum, berry notes on this one, red berry notes. Maybe just a little bit of cherry thrown in there as well, but ripe cherry. And those pencil lead notes, those graphite notes come through nicely right at the back of the finish. This definitely has more depth. Good acidity, it's fresh, got a lot of verve, got a lot of things going on in this wine, more complexity than this last one, but still, it's $34, a little bit more of an investment, but this one definitely will age 10 plus years. In my opinion, it will. I have a fairly good track record when it comes to ageability of wines. Not saying I'm 100% right, but I think I might have a good batting percentage in that regard. I don't know how that happens. Sometimes you miss, but not very often. Some serious structure on this. If you had this with prime rib, or you had it with a rib steak or anything like that, be absolutely fantastic. Pot roast, anything like that, this would be really good. Love the graphite. This is again classic Bordeaux, fresh, good balance, nice integration across the palate. Yeah, I like this wine a lot. Some nice red flower into darker flower notes as well. Yeah, I'm going to go straight up A on this one, hedging towards A+. I always like it when the inexpensive ones kind of show better than the more expensive ones, but I think $34 isn't a terrible price. I think even a young wine person just breaking in, maybe getting a little bit serious about it, might not mind spending $35 or $34 on a bottle of Bordeaux to see how it does, to see how it ages, or just to drink it. This is fantastic to drink now. A little bit youthful, could use a little bit of time. Give it a couple of years, I think it will flesh out nicely. In fact, I'll probably, even though I personally don't like to spend $34 on a bottle of wine on a regular basis, I might buy a bottle of this and just tuck it away and see how it does in 3 years. There you have it. All 4 that I reviewed over these last 2 episodes have been fantastic, especially the cheap ones for the money. They were really good. And then these 2 are also very good. Of course, the $34 one shows the $34, which is not a bad price with a Bordeaux that is what? Cru Bourgeois? What did it say? Grand Cru. Bordeaux for 30. This is another one I got on the flash sale. So I could have looked up what it probably goes for more than that normally. Probably you're up in the $40 range. Maybe. But if you live in my area, I have it at the store for $34. You can grab a bottle if you so desire. Thanks for taking a little time out of your day. I hope you enjoyed these 2 episodes on Bordeaux. I will continue to review the 22s as I find them, because I think it's just such a classic vintage, and everything I've tried so far has been great. So I'll do that. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you want to see what's coming up next. You keep watching, and I'll keep helping you spend your wine dollars wisely.